All right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Straight Talk with Dr. Cam. We have a special guest in the building today. We have Mr. Christopher Worth, the real estate guru. This
Let's
guy is
go.
great. He is doing major work in the community. This guy is working Georgia, Florida for all your real estate needs. So, an important guy to know, I must say, in the area. This guy has
Right on.
added tremendous value to my life. Christopher, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and your real estate journey and how you're out here helping so many people.
Yeah, or call me Christopher Networth, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Coined
Yes,
as
sir.
Christopher Networth. Because to
Yeah,
answer your question, we're out here assisting our community in building their wealth, and at times we're helping them to dispose of properties as well, so that they can increase their cash. And
sure.
so that's what we're out here doing. But you asked a little bit about the journey. I am on the 30th would be 10 years doing real estate full time.
Wow.
10 whole years from Florida to Georgia. It's a totally different world, but we'll get into it. I want to make sure we highlight the value on how you can take advantage of the 10 years of experience, as well as the experience that Dr. Cam is bringing to the situation.
Absolutely. So yeah, I just wanted the people to know, like, you've been doing this and you've been doing it for a while and you've seen a lot of different things, and you think differently about, real estate generally speaking. You have a lot
Right.
of solutions when it comes to helping people. And so, of course, we have an audience of different people in different places in life. And let's maybe just start with first time home buyers. Like, what's the market saying? What should they be concerned with right now? And maybe give us a little bit about the ecosystem currently.
Man, okay, so let's start. You asked a very important question. Let's start with the concern point. All right. And that's one of the major things that I experience when talking with people when buying their first homes. It's almost as if the thought is that it's this really big process. And
Right.
the reality of it is it's not a big process, but some of the things that hang people up that make them feel like it's big is that
Mm.
they may not know what their credit score is. Super easy
Ah,
fix. They
right.
may not know how much they're approved for. Super easy fix. So it becomes a I don't want to be denied before even trying kind of situation, because commonly
Right.
when we have them try, I have lenders who will go all the way down to a 520 credit score and approve them for a loan. So like once they figure
Wow.
out that it can be done, every other part is easy. It's just really getting started.
Right, right. And so how do you instill confidence in these new potential buyers to make them want to go ahead and pull the trigger and believe in themselves and also believe that there's a solution for their situation? Because, we work with a lot of different people and people just generally don't realize that there is a solution if you sit down and talk to people that help with solutions. So, like, how are you convincing new people to kind of push the button and get that investment under their belt so they can start building wealth?
Yeah, no, great question. So, just to your point, the beautiful part about it all is it's absolutely no convincing, like at
Right.
all. Because
Mhm.
once we shared that, you may become comfortable and say, "Hey, well, I'm thinking my credit score is like 640. I don't really know if that's good." Once we have the conversation, I shared that, "Hey, the lender will go down to 520." You're like, "Wait, oh, it
Wow.
is possible, right?" It's like, "Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's totally possible." I was like, "Well, let's go ahead and cross the other hurdle that you'll have, but you're not thinking about, which is what's the monthly payment that you're wanting." Because
Right.
once you share with me your credit score and the monthly payment you're wanting to have, I'll know about how much home that we need to look for. So
Sure.
what I'm saying to you is when we are servicing, and when I say we, I have a team, when we are servicing and helping our people, we're already knowing that, hey, you should probably look at a $400,000 home because you want X payment in this certain area. And as long
Right.
as that exists for you, you can go ahead and move forward. We're
Got
going
it.
to make
Got it.
sure it works, right? So what I'm saying is that for first time home buyers, a lot of times it's the unknown that makes it scary for them.
Sure.
We take that whole aspect out of the picture. This is the home price, this is the monthly payment, this is about how much closing costs you'll need. They will end up negotiating, so you only need a little bit of money to close. Once they hear that, they're like, it's a no-brainer, because it
Right.
is a no-brainer, right? In
Sure.
comparison to rents continuing to go up, it becomes a no-brainer.
Got you. Got you. So one of the things I wanted to cover is, all over the news, they say that there's a housing crisis. There's just not enough houses. So
Right.
as an agent, I mean, I see houses for sale all the time, and so I
Mhm.
don't understand that context. And so, can you bring some context around why they're saying there's such a large um, home crisis? Like there's not enough because there seems to be a lot.
Yeah, man. That's okay. So the beautiful part of it is during COVID, we ended up selling around. When I say we, I mean the real estate community
Hmm.
nationwide ended up selling. I want to say it was like 2 million more homes than we usually sell.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
so we absorbed the market in advance.
Ah.
Okay, that happened. The second part is that you have Wall Street. They are owners of a lot of homes, so a lot of homes are just for rent. They're not for sale. But it
Right.
goes now. Let's go to your original point of you are seeing homes for sale. Yeah, you're going to see homes for sale, but it's also millions of us who are looking for a home. So it's
Okay.
not like you're not going to see a home or even hundreds of thousands of homes for sale. We're still just lacking inventory. And on top of that, we haven't built up enough inventory to sustain the amount of people who buy every year. Right. That's why
Got.
you're seeing these large apartment complexes go up because we are needing forms of
Very.
housing, and we're also more so needing this is the last caveat to it. Yes,
Okay.
you're seeing homes for sale, you're
Sure.
also seeing homes that are overpriced for sale.
Right. Right. Right.
So
So you.
we're needing. So when people
Hmm.
say, "Oh, it's a lack of inventory," they're really also saying it's a lack of inventory and it's a lack of affordable
Inventory.
inventory at the same time.
Sure.
That's more
Sure.
so what you're seeing. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And so when a person is kind of getting this, how are they generally navigating? So what is the beginning of the process for a first time home buyer? Like once they speak with you, what's the next steps? Like what do they need to have in place?
Yeah, super easy. So we're having a conversation. Really, it's are they comfortable sharing their financial picture? I mean, just a small bit, right?
Sure.
Credit score, and monthly payment. Once we have crossed those barriers, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even call them barriers. Once we just kind of identify what it is, and we are looking online and seeing if any homes that they like match that
Sure.
payment structure. Let's just say that we see 3 homes that match that payment structure. Oh man, it's easy from there. The next thing is just really getting them approved. Once we get them approved, they already know their monthly payment. We're already kind of identifying how much money they'll need,
Mm-hmm.
and we are structuring ways for them to not need that much money. Because let's touch on that.
Yes.
It is true that you can need a lot of money. That's 100% true. It's
Right.
also, and two things can be true at the same time. It's
Absolutely.
also true that you don't need a lot of money to have your home purchased based
Okay.
on how we negotiate. So negotiation is the difference between how much money you would need in this instance for a first
Gotcha.
time home buyer. So a lot of times I'm helping people get money back at closing.
What?
$1,000, $2,000,
Yeah.
or if they are bringing money, they're bringing around $2,500 to closing.
Yeah. So how does something like that even happen?
Yeah, it's really this is where we excel. It's deal
Mm.
structuring because anyone
Okay.
can open the door and say this is a kitchen.
Yes.
We knew that.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of kitchens, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and every day. But
Mm-hmm.
deal structure wise, that's where we reign. So just long story short, first time home buyers are eligible for first time home buyer money, down payment assistance.
Right. Right.
We'll get you that. Like that's not super difficult to do. The part that
Sure.
no one talks about is that they didn't have closing costs. We have a
Gotcha.
way of getting that for you as well. So once we have the money, the down payment assistance money from the
Mm-hmm.
government, and we get you the closing cost money, then you're only needing around $2,500, and that's just for inspections. I don't suggest anyone purchase a home without inspecting it. I think that's a bad idea. I've had people do it because they want to save like $300 to $400. I don't
Wow.
advise that. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that
just
sounds
like
dangerous. That sounds real
yeah, pay that
dangerous.
money because you can have a home,
Hmm.
have it inspected, and things still occur. So much so
Yes.
if you never have it inspected, and there's some people who would make the home look nice and it don't be nice.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So now, are you talking about? mainly new homes? Because I know that there are obviously opportunities where people can get different types of loans, like construction loans, to maybe even fix up a home. Is that
Yeah.
ever a scenario you work with? And then I know that there are like the USDA loans for like rural homesteading and things like
Yeah.
that. Do you deal with those things also?
Yeah, I've dealt with all every 10 years.
Right, right.
I'm, I'm, I'm touching it all. So, and I'll even add one for you. So, but
Okay.
we'll start with the USDA. Yes, USDA is 100% down. It's still the general concept though, is that even though it's 100% down, that's down payment. A person still has closing costs.
Okay.
Right? Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
USDA. The renovation loans, I'm able to structure, and I've done this. I've structured the renovation loans to where a person still only needed $2,500 to close, and they receive like $60,000 to $70,000 on top of their mortgage to renovate the home.
What?
So yeah, so that can be done. They can be matter of fact,
Please.
a VA buyer can utilize the renovation money. So they have zero money down and they can get money to renovate their home. And we
So
can
we're
structure it to where they don't pay their closing costs either.
so we're talking about
I
the
don't want to make it
veterans.
seem like, yeah, I don't want to make it, yeah, veterans. I don't want to make it seem like you need no money. That's why I say 2,500, which is a lot of
Sure.
time is an overestimate. You're going to need something because you have to have the home inspected. You want to have an appraisal to
Yeah. You
make
want
sure
to do
the
it right.
value is there, right? So you're going to put something into the equation, but outside of that, I can negotiate the rest of the parts.
Wow. So, I've worked with a lot of agents through my life. And, one thing I can say about you is, you're a very detailed guy. You kind of get into the minutia. You look for ways to solve problems inside of deals. And, and I can just say as a testimony, honestly, you've helped me with a couple real estate deals and, navigating the process. And I'm greatly appreciative, appreciative of all your actions in terms of getting into the weeds when it comes to solving problems. So when things kind of get rocky and rough and not clear, you've always been there. You've been a
Yeah,
phone
yeah,
call away. So
yeah.
so when I call you at 11 o'clock at night, like, man, I don't understand this piece, and you respond with the legit answer, or at least make us feel comfortable so
For
that we can
sure.
ultimately move forward. I think that that's a valuable skill set, and I think anybody who sees this video should reach out if they're thinking about a real estate deal, because I think you add that type of value in customer service. And it seems as if nobody ever gets on your nerves. You keep a very cool and calm composure, and I know you deal with a lot of people.
Yo,
I know
I
I know you
received
deal with
that
a lot of
message.
people.
I received that message so much. They say, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it. Like people tell
Yeah,
me that all the time, but at the same time, it's like imagine having the opportunity to do what you want to do. Not all
right.
parts you're not going to like. That's
Yeah,
life.
it's work.
But to make it to a point to do what you want to do in life, it's exciting, right? And even
Right.
in our aspect of making our phone call and the investment you were making that
Hmm.
you made
Hmm.
multiple times, it's
Right.
like, why wouldn't I want to have fun with my friend?
No,
Man,
absolutely.
we're talking anyway. Like we might
Yeah.
as well also,
No, listen. I believe being able to do business with your
yeah,
friends is priceless, because when you can do business with people you trust, and you can actually get more done because you have that trust basis, and you feel more confident about making the moves because somebody really has your back, and that's priceless.
yeah, and it's just to your point. It's like there is how do we, it's okay, essentially what I'm saying, it's okay to formulate relationships surrounding business and friends.
Yeah.
It can go forward and work well, and
Mm.
everybody can be happy. We can be economically empowered, and that goes
Yes.
back to when meeting with first time home buyers too. It's like, well, look, this is all it is, right?
Hmm.
We don't have to have a high guard to this equation. It's
Right.
just this. Yeah, it's just this. And we're just two people doing a thing, and I have the way if you want it.
Right, right. But I think it always boils down to trust, right? Like everything is about
Sure, agreed.
relationship. And that's why I wanted to bring the context of your experience into the conversation. You've been doing this for 10 years, but there are a lot of agents that have been doing it for 10 years. I think what makes you unique is that you're selling in two different places, and that
Yeah,
really kind of
yeah.
gives you unique value to solve problems because you're solving problems in two different states. And a lot of
Yeah,
people are just
yeah,
working in one state, or maybe they might make one little deal somewhere. But when you're doing volume in both states, that really kind of says a lot because the rules are different. And then the
for
county
sure,
rules are different, right?
for
And so
sure.
we get
The
into a
people are
lot of
different.
the people are different, right? The mindsets are
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
And so all
for
these
sure.
things really can affect a real estate deal. And
Yeah.
so for you to continue to solve these problems and come up with solutions for people, I think is amazing that you have the temperance for it. Now, what I really also want to know about is, we spoke a little bit. Obviously, you've helped me with some investment pieces, but I want to switch over to the investor side of things. So I know you're also an investor, which
Right.
adds tremendous value. But if you don't
Factual.
mind, can you talk about some of the investor opportunities that are like super valid today? Because I know there's a million things you can do, but if you don't mind talking about some of the things that could potentially be on the market for people to take advantage of today.
Sure. Okay. So this goes back to when you were asking about USDA, and I
Right,
mentioned VA. Or just I was essentially communicating about zero down financing.
right,
Now, I was like, I'll also give you one more. So now I'm going to bring it to the investment side because you can use it this way, right?
right.
So HUD has to where a owner occupant, which you can turn it into an investment, can
Mhm.
purchase a home for $1.
What?
Literally, like yeah, literally $1. Here's the caveat though, too. You
Okay.
have to be an owner occupant, $1, and you can get the renovation money to put it together.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So you were asking about what's on the market. Well, HUD homes, they're not like foreclosures like '05 through '08, so on and so
Right.
forth. But and I'll go ahead and mention it. They're overpriced. Almost all real estate's overpriced, just like eggs, bread, milk, and gas. Welcome
Inflation.
to the new world. Welcome to the new
Yeah.
world. You know that's what it is. But nonetheless, if you structure it properly, you can still come out ahead. And that's what people have to realize is that you can structure your deals in a way to where you still win even when prices are high.
Right,
Right?
right. So it's all about the deal structure.
It's all about the deal structure. So that's the
Mhm.
unique proposition is that anyone can purchase a home, anyone can structure a deal to benefit. So when we're talking about investments and a person getting a home for $1 or even just any investments in general, it goes down to the terms and the structures. Like we did a deal in Florida, Cam, a Dr.
Yes.
Cam, and
Yes,
it
sir.
was it was not the greatest of like if you looked at it, you're like, this is okay, right?
Hey, it was a
Like
deal. A deal's a
maybe
deal.
yeah, you're like maybe I take it, maybe I don't. But
Mhm.
once we structured the terms,
Ooh,
it
the terms are
became
beautiful.
amazing. You're like,
Ooh.
yo, this is not bad because we were able to structure a win-win. But even if it went bad on our part, we
Right.
still would win.
Yeah.
And that's what
That's
I
like,
structure, and that's what I like
ooh.
for my investors is that yes, you want to take risk, and at the same time, you also want to look at the downside, but not what's the word I'm searching for? Focus on it so much because once we
Focus
have
on it.
structured out the downside, we can look at the upside for the investment. And we were talking about one in Florida, and we're
Mhm.
just going through the numbers and we're going through this exercise to make sure that if we are wrong, we are still profitable. And that's what
Listen,
I would leave, that's what I would leave people with in
I
terms
just
of invest. Oh my bad, go ahead.
no, no, I just want to be super clear. The potential loss was a win.
And
It,
that's what we're saying. Like
the
we
potential loss can
structure
be
the
a win.
deals. Yeah, we structure the deals to even when we lose, because we're still human, and that's the
Right.
part of it.
Right.
Everyone is still human, so error has to be accounted for. It will occur at some point in time. But
Right.
since that's the case, can you structure your deals for it to still be profitable when there's error? And it can be done because we do it.
Yeah, 100%. And so I'm very
Yeah,
thankful for that deal, and I want to do some more deals like that very
yeah, yeah,
soon.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
but okay, so if I'm a first-time investor, like my first investment move, what are
Mhm.
some of the things a person that maybe they have good credit, maybe they have a little bit of money, but how can they get into their first investment to kind of get the ball rolling? Because as you mentioned before, it's always about the first time. Getting
Mhm.
over that fear to take the leap. You know, what are some of the options a person can ultimately get into as a first time
Sure. No,
investor?
So great question. This is where I see people get caught all the time because you can invest in new construction homes. You can invest in tax liens, tax deeds. You can
Mm.
invest in going to the auction, so on and so forth. People choose, they try to figure out which one is the best option.
Right.
And then they research every single one and now they're confused.
Yes.
And then they're not able to really invest per se. So
Mm-hmm.
to start is to really get body to body, not being vulgar, get body to body with someone who is investing and
Mm-hmm.
to really see what it's about.
Got
Because
it.
it's a contact sport.
It is. It is. You got to get in there. You got to get
100
your hands dirty.
100%. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You can't sit behind the screen and you can learn some things, but eventually you got to get body to body. And when you get body to body with someone, you will say, "Hey, I love tax lien tax deeds based upon what I see. I'm going to explore this
Mm-hmm.
until I'm profitable." And hear what
Right.
I'm saying. When I mentioned to you what I really said, and I'm going to bring it to the light, was that I said, "Hey, I love tax lien tax deeds. I'm going to stick with this until I'm profitable," which means that I'm not going to jump from tax lien tax deeds because it didn't work. And then now I'm building a home and hopefully that works. And now I'm doing fix and flip and hopefully that works. And I'm jumping around.
Right, right. You got to get focused on one and do the work because there's
Yeah.
always a learning curve in real estate. I mean, you're
Yeah.
going to take some small L's, but I think if you think through things, reverse engineer, look to solve the problem up front, then a lot of times you can come out pretty good. And I think that's why we've had, success ourselves is really based on how we analyze the deals and structure the deals and come up with solutions to solve problems to make deals ultimately work. And that's what I'm excited about. Even with the upcoming opportunity that we spoke about, I think yesterday.
Yeah.
I think there's so many ways to ultimately look at that, and that thing has been sitting there for a while, and nobody is being creative. So I think the creative person wins right now in real
Yep.
estate all around America. Like whoever can look at every element of the scenario and then come up with a solution to get maximum value out of that investment. I think you're going to win a lot if you're just thinking harder.
Yeah, man, I want to shatter thoughts, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
paradigms because initially we were speaking of, man, we're hearing of a lack of inventory, which would imply that there's a lack of transactions.
Right.
And
Oh,
that
yes.
and that is a false assumption. I
Mm-hmm.
did a closing about 2 weeks ago with a company who have 20 to 30 closings a week.
Wow. Wow.
Let's take 20 on the low end every single week, which would mean that's 80 closings every single month. And that will be what, 960 closings in a year?
God. Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. No, one company in the United States. That's just
Mm.
one company.
Right.
So lack of inventory doesn't mean lack of transactions. Transactions are booming,
Yeah.
causing more lack of inventory. And people are like, oh, the prices are too high. Yes.
It's because there's high transactions right now, even
Yes,
though we
I
don't even though we don't see it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm sharing it. Yes, I agree with you. And
Mm.
interest rates are going to drop, and home prices are going to drop, and you're going to get your dream home. Dream home is the thought,
You're hoping.
but then the question is like, well, how? If the interest rates drop, what we're really saying is that money is now cheap or
Mhm.
less expensive.
Yes.
And when money is less expensive, it's easier to get, which means that it becomes more money out there in the world.
Sure.
When it's more money in the world, real estate prices go up because people have more money to push it up. And
Absolutely.
that's exactly what's occurring. So for my first time home buyers, commonly I'll share this with them. I say, hey, if this works, especially if you're going to live in your home for at least 2 years, I say go ahead and make the move. Now I do encourage people, if they're going to live in their home under 2 years, it's 50-50 at that point in time. I usually say, if you like it, okay, I'll assist you, but I don't really know.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so
Hmm.
and so and so bring give us some more context around that, and the reason why, and what could potentially happen in a 2 year if they're saying they want to leave in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, so it could work in the aspect of the contexts are what's your financial picture,
Hmm.
how much resources do you have,
Right.
and what's your plan.
Sure.
So plan is the key word, right? Like,
Hmm.
because it's exciting to own a home, you get to tell everyone you did it, but what's your plan? So when you're
Right.
asking 2 years, I'm like, well, if you have a VA loan, for example, then you have zero down. You may have it at a price that created a deal or not. So what I'm saying is that there is
Right.
a chance for appreciation, but there's a
Mm.
chance that it may not occur. And so and so and so, and so we just want to make sure that person has the ability to get out of the loan with not upside down if they needed to. Loan section.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you. It could easily go into. It could be upside down very quickly if they leave,
Yes.
and depending on how much they put into the home. And so what else? What about like duplexes and maybe even subject twos? I know that these are other, well, more common now. They're becoming a little bit more popular now. I would say because everybody's like talking about it on social media. Like, hey, get in, get you a duplex. You know, house hacking. So,
Yeah.
do you have a perspective on that, on house hacking or any of the creative stuff around investing and getting your foot in the door somewhere?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll start with the multifamily because it was definitely communicated at a high point in social media. Like, yeah, buy a quadruplex or buy this and buy that. And
Hmm.
with all investments, it comes down to numbers. And
Sure.
then it comes down to what's your plan. Because I've helped a young lady purchase a duplex, I mean, a quadruplex, pardon me, and it supplemented all her income and it put her in a great position to have equity and tax write offs. But this was a plan. But then
Right.
I've also seen duplexes, quadruplexes where they're so overpriced that
You can't.
with
There's
the
no meat on
wrong
the
plan,
bone.
it won't work, right?
Mm.
So essentially a person could purchase it, but once the plan. So I would say all that to say that it really just depends on numbers from a multifamily perspective, because I'll go back to the original statement, which is real estate is overpriced right now,
Right.
especially after all of the money was printed during COVID. And then you have a lack of inventory and people still paying higher prices for homes. I bought a home. Hey, in the higher price environment, if
Hmm.
we're wondering if it happens and if it's a great idea or not, right? But we did some purchases which were subject to, which is basically taking over the owner's mortgage so that they can get out free and clear and have good credit. Sometimes it happens because things occur, and and then of course we're able to be the owner from an investment perspective and to build out
Sure.
our portfolio and to share the opportunity for someone to have good housing. So
Yes.
that's yes, yep, and that's where it really comes down to and what we're communicating. We're like, look, if we're not careful, it has been said that America will become a renter's nation. Well,
Yes.
right now we're
Absolutely.
having a conversation surrounding that you can purchase a home for less money than you're thinking if you so happen to have not the greatest credit or taxes may be a little bit shaky. You can still purchase a home. It's just a different strategy. So
Got
ultimately
you.
what we're saying is depending on the strategy when we have a conversation, or depending on the scenario when we have a conversation, we would structure the strategy so that you do have the opportunity to earn to own.
Got you.
Right.
Got you. And so
Yeah.
the last thing I want to kind of touch on is so I know you have a lot of solutions. So what if a person is an entrepreneur, they hadn't worked a job and they've been an entrepreneur for a couple years, can they still buy a house? Can people that don't have a W-2 get into a home, and what are their options?
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, we they certainly have options. The only catch I would say, because I hardly hear it communicated, is that they're going to need some kind of money,
Right.
even if they're a first-time home buyer, because they're not traditionally going through the banking system, where the banking system dictates that you have a credit score that they can pull, they can see. You
Hmm.
have at least 2 years tax returns showing that, and really they're just looking for stability,
Sure.
right? But let's just say you are a business owner, you made $1 million, you wrote off $1 million. your tax return is going to say that you made $0. You're not going to be bankable.
Ooh, that's so important. Ooh, that's a major key right
Man,
there.
it
I
happens.
bet I
So
bet that happens a lot.
they're like, yo, I made $1 million. I can show you my bank statements. It's like, well, yeah,
Right,
we can
right,
get you a loan off your bank statements, but now you're going to need money,
right,
right? And when we speak of money, you may need 10%, you may need 20% down, right? And
right.
now after the 10 to 20% down, we're able to still structure out your closing cost part, but you're going to need some
Sure.
kind of money when you are entrepreneurial. You are looked at as risky according to the
Okay.
bank.
Right, right. High risk. But it's
High risk.
possible though. But it
You
is
hire even,
possible.
and the crazy part about it all is you would be an entrepreneur, you would take a risk, you would have employees.
Wow.
Your employees will have their W-2, file their taxes, and they'll be able to purchase a home before you.
See, man. Bananas, bananas. But listen, so here at Straight Talk, we want to bring you back for another session. I
Yeah.
mean, you've given us so many major keys this evening. So if you don't mind, give us a final statement about the current situation, about how people can reach out to you to get more value.
Yeah. Okay. So current situation, it is still lack of inventory. You're if you're watching this, right, and you are at a state of renting a home, I feel confident in saying that you're probably seeing that your landlord continues to raise your rent.
Mm,
That's occurring. So yes, I also agree that people are saying that the market may crash and different things like that. Well, if we look at a supply and demand equation, if you don't have enough of a thing, but you have a high demand for it, it
sure,
makes it hard for prices to actually drop. I
sure.
mean, that's, but it's not making it hard for the rent prices to rise. And so
Mhm.
essentially, if the math work, then that's usually my key thing. If the math works for you, and this is how we take the emotion out of whether or not it's a good decision or not. We
Sure.
sit down, we do the math, and the math is actually super easy. So you don't
Yes.
have to have like anxiety around whether or not it makes sense.
Ooh,
We can do
important.
that
So
in about
important.
we can do that in about 5 to 10 minutes over a phone call. We're not even looking
Absolutely.
at each other. We're just like, tell me this, tell me that. This is the math. Does it make sense for you? You say yes, it makes sense for me, or you say no. If you say no, don't purchase. It
Yeah.
it
Don't purchase.
mathematically doesn't make sense. But if you say
Sure.
yes, you're like, wait a minute. And
Right.
here's a part of it making sense that people at times have not been communicated that this is a thing. So when
Right.
you're purchasing a home, I hardly ever hear anyone speak of the write-offs that they can receive from
Yes.
interest payments or from taxation, right? Just the benefit part, that part has to be explored a little bit more. It's commonly like I own a home and I am looking at it almost in the same capacity as when I rented a home. But this one has different benefits.
Yeah. That we are not always exploiting.
Yes, and we'll use that word. It's not. It's exploiting them at the same time. This is what has been positioned by the government for people to do with
Take
this thing.
advantage. Hmm.
So it's like to use that to also help springboard your wealth. It's not just I
Sure.
bought a home, I'm not paying rent anymore. It's like, no, I bought a home, I'm not paying rent, I'm getting tax deductions, I'm moving around, they can't raise the rents on me, I'm having a
Mm,
form of stability.
sure.
Now I can think. And we talk about this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, how do we get our people to a place of the ability to think? And what we're saying is that means that you are at a state of being at peace to where you're like not moving around a lot. It's not
Mm.
so pressed. And that's what we're working on when we're assisting with the purchasing of home or the selling of assets so that people have capital.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so how can people contact you, get more information, follow with you about all of the, because you spoke about everything. You covered a lot and you have a lot of great knowledge. And I think people are going to definitely want to connect to get some more insight.
Yeah, man. The fastest way to connect with me is at the bottom under my name, Christopher Worth. It's Christopher Net Worth on
Yes, sir.
Instagram. That would be the fastest way. But other than that, my telephone number is 404-934-9776. And as Cameron mentioned, or Dr. Cam mentioned, at 11 o'clock, I was picking up and we're like, hey, what are we doing? What are we
What are we
talking
doing?
about? What's going on?
Absolutely.
let's solve it really quick because it's not a big problem. We haven't
Right.
come across a problem that was actually a big problem. It was just an awareness point. This is what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, a new problem to solve. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for hopping on. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to more conversations like this. I wanna get into some of these things a little deeper from
Oh,
the
let's
investor
go. Oh,
side, and
I
you
can go
know,
deep.
yeah, I know. We're gonna save it for them. So I'm very very excited, man. We're gonna have you back, man. But thank you so much for your time, and we're gonna end this right here. Everybody out there, God bless.
God bless. Thank you, man.